guys, this is Crafty Cat. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. Today we are doing a let's try it video. We are going to be trying a really cute painting by Joony art. I'll put a picture of what it looks like right here. So I am all set up. I've got my 10 by 10 inch canvas all over here, and I've already put some gesso on it, one coat of gesso to prepare it, and I think it's dry now. And so now I just have to get my colors ready. I've got my iPad right here that I'll be watching. The only issue is trying to film this so that it's close enough without me bumping my leg. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. So let me try to bring you a little bit closer. And maybe if I just go like this. So I think that's the best I'm going to do, you guys. So hopefully that will work. All right, let's get going. And I will be fast forwarding this and then speaking over it and editing, okay? And that way I can listen to some music and I won't get dinged by Facebook. So I don't know how I'm going to get in here with my legs because the legs of the tripod are kind of in the way, but I will do my best. So you guys, I'm going to be using my Montmartre paints. These are acrylic paints that I bought and I unboxed on the channel. They're from Amazon.ca. I really love these paints. There's 24 gorgeous colors. And I'm also going to be using just stuff from the dollar store. Deco art stuff. And stuff from the other dollar store too, if I need it. Alright, so this is going to be my first time working on an actual canvas instead of the canvas board. It's 10 by 10. And I need black, white, vermilion, coral red, and permanent yellow. So I'm just going to be setting all that up. I'm going to use the dollar store black and white because I don't want to run out of my good black and white. And I seem to use a lot of black and white. And I've got some white. Just going to give it a good shake. And I have bright red in dollar store. And I have brilliant red from Montmartre. And I need coral red. I have magenta. And I have vermilion. I think the vermilion might be closer to the coral red. I'm not sure. I do not have a coral red. I have cherry blossom pink. Tutti frutti. Coral is usually like a cross between a pink and an orange. We'll mix some of the orange with some of the tutti frutti and see if that will get me the right color. And we need permanent yellow. And I have medium yellow. I think that's close. All right, so now I have to watch and see what to do next. So I have to use a flat brush. I think my brush is probably bigger than the brush they're using. So I've got these. So these are all my flat brushes. This one's not in great shape. So I'll put that one back. And I've got some much smaller flat brushes, but I'm not sure what size I'm going to need, so let's watch some more. 25 millimeter flat brush, it says. That says a half. That says a 3/4. $11. I don't know. I bet you it's this one that's the wonky size. No, that's a half. 25 millimeter. I wonder if that would be 1/4. Because like 100 millimeter would be 1. I'm really not sure. Let's keep going. All right, so Joony has mixed the coral and the yellow. So I think I'm just going to use this size for now. Maybe I really don't know. So I'm going to mix my colors. And she's just going down the middle here. So let's see if I've got the right color. I think I do. A little bit more yellow at the top. Okay. Let's see. I think I should probably paint on the top too. And my family's coming home, so I'm going to have to stop talking and just talk in editing, you guys. Because I'm definitely going to have to cut out the sound as soon as they come in the door, probably.
Hi guys, this is Kathy in editing, and I was right. I did have to mute the audio at that point because my parents came in and they were arguing like crazy. They argue a lot. It's funny, but I don't want you guys to have to listen to this on the video, and they wouldn't like it either. So I had to cut that part of the audio out, and that's okay because I'm fast forwarding this. It would be too boring for you to watch every single paint stroke. These aren't tutorial videos. If you want the actual tutorial video, please do go see Joony Art's beautiful tutorial about this one. It's so pretty. Hang on a second. So I just went to go double check that I had the right name for this painting. It's called a Misty Lake painting. And yeah, it's a very beautiful painting. She does it way better than I'm doing it here. But right now I'm just trying to lay down the bottom color. Her colors were more of a brownie orange than mine. I was having trouble mixing the right color. And also my paint at this point was drying on the platter. So I need to find a better way to utilize my palette because the paint dries very quickly. So you might see me going in with my finger here or there to take off little clumps of paint because they were drying. And I was like basically painting on dry clumps of paint, which was not fun. But I have since watched a bunch of DIY YouTube videos about how to make a wet palette where you're basically just putting a wet paper towel underneath some parchment paper and putting the paint on top of the parchment paper, and that's supposed to keep it from drying so fast. So I will try that next time.
Hi guys, I'm back. This is like several days later. We're going to pick up this painting where we left off. I had lots of things that I needed to do, so I wasn't able to keep going with this, but I'm excited that we're going to start now. So let's get going. And I probably won't be talking through this. I'll probably fast forward it so it's not boring for you. This is not a how to do it thing. If you want to see the tutorial, you'll have to go to Joony Art and see. She shows you how to do it. This is just me trying to follow the tutorial. So I don't know if you can see here, I've got my trusty iPad and I've got it set up to where we left off. But you're getting my ring light because my tripod has a light in it. So I just had to move this over, move the cord around to the back. So, maybe I can make this a little bit smaller. There. So you guys, I'm going to try my best to not knock everything while I'm working, but I can't promise anything because the tripod is directly in the way of my legs. And when my legs get sore, I need to move them. So I might need to move this so I could see it better. And I started with some fresh paint. And I put some plastic wrap on top of my plate because it's just easier to clean that way. Okay, pink and white with a 10mm brush. So now I don't have the same brushes she does, so I'm going to be doing my best. She's doing pink and white with a 10 millimeter brush. I don't know. My brushes like don't say anything on them. Some of them are that, well, that says something, but what does it say? It says half. I think maybe this brush is as close to what she's using, only this has a rounder edge and hers has a flat edge. And hers is like half the size of my brush. It's like a little stubby brush. So I don't have a brush like that, so we're just going to have to do the best we can. So now I need to, and I don't have the same colors either. So I think I'm supposed to be dry brushing here, and I'm not good at dry brushing, but it looks like she's just making some clouds. See, I turned off the sound and the sound's not gone. If you hear talking in the background, that's my African gray parrot, Smokey. Okay. So just some yellow and white after the pink.
And here I'm going in with a more vibrant yellow. I'm playing with the sky quite a bit, trying to get it to look similar to the way it does in the tutorial.
Yeah, I think I like that better. I think I just was losing some of that darker contrast behind the pink. All right, there's a ton more yellow that I wasn't putting in. So let's do that.
Alright guys, so this is Kathy in editing again, and I have fast forwarded this because I took a very, very long time on the sky, trying to get the clouds just right. And then I thought I had watched to the end of the sky, and I didn't get to the right part. So then when I I started the video again, there was still a whole portion of sky that I had to do. So that made it really long. So I did cut out a lot of what came before this. And now I'm just trying to add a heck of a lot more yellow to the sky to make even more long, wispy sun and cloud mixtures. So, and like I was saying before, unless I cut that part out, I may have, I don't know, but that's one of the really nice thing about acrylic paints is you can let it dry and then just add another layer, so you can just keep trying until you get the look that you want. You don't have to just give up and say, oh, this is terrible. And there always is, at least with my paintings, there's always a spot where I'm like, oh, this looks horrible, I should just start over. But you really don't have to. You just have to let it dry and try again on the same painting. So that's pretty cool and really good if you're a beginner like me. Hi guys, this is me in editing again, and I'm sorry I forgot to hit record and I missed the beginning of these distant mountains and trees, but I'm just going in very quickly with my brush, and I'm just tapping in the illusion of mountains with some trees sort of boinking up in a color that's darker than the background color but not quite black. And then the next step of the tutorial was to go over it with a darker, almost black color. So you'll see me do that next. So that's what I'm doing here, is going over it again with a darker color.
Okay guys, I am back and I am going to try to do the mist now over top of the distant trees so that they kind of disappear in the background the way it is showing me to do on the tutorial. And I also watched a second tutorial about how to make mist. So I don't have a big brush like they're using. I just have these brushes. And I've just played with it a lot to try to get any loose things out of it. I'm going to have to buy some bigger brushes. I have this one, but I think it's too soft for what I want. It said to use a bristly brush that you don't mind like damaging. And those are my good brushes. So I'm going to be using these.
And now I am trying to add mist. Now this is supposed to be a dry brush technique, and I'm not good at dry brushing. I have a very hard time with it. So basically your brush shouldn't be wet with water, and you have to just dip it into the white paint and then take most of the white paint off on the paper towel, and then just kind of dab it and twirl it to look like mist, so that you're kind of blanking out most of the mountains and trees. And you'll see me going in once in a while with my paper towel, trying to blot out where I've made it too heavy. But on the tutorial, it is quite heavy. So I was going too light at first, so then I had to go and add some more. And I'm just doing this over and over again to try to get it to look like in the tutorial. And now I've jumped ahead because it was kind of boring watching me just put down the white paint and blurring everything out. So I will go back and probably add more of this after. But right now I'm just touching up where I think there needs to be more white at the bottom to kind of look like ripples in the water underneath the mist and fog. I'm just using a smaller brush at this point. And now I am just trying to measure where the next island has to come in, because there's a closer part of the land that's more in the foreground. So I'm just trying to decide where that is, and I've decided that is a good spot. So I'm just using a smaller brush, and I'm sort of outlining where I want it to go. So it's sort of like just a little jutty outy portion of land that is supposed to be closer than the background and darker. So that is what I'm doing here. And now I'm going in with a different brush, and I'm applying more trees. Well, they will eventually be trees onto the island. So this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this section. Just kind of tapping in trees with a messy brush. So these were just the starts of the trees. And it was really cool watching them come to life. I really did enjoy this portion. Alright, so now I'm going in with the detail brush, and I'm adding more branches and trunks to some of the trees to make them stand out more than they did. Make them look more tree-like instead of just clumpy-like. And I do enjoy this part of the painting a lot. I find it really relaxing and really zen. I don't know why. I do like making trees. I also like the way it's almost like trickery. You use more muted colors in the background to push things away to make them further, and darker colors in the foreground or midground to make them seem closer and also make them bigger. I thought that was cool. And here I am going with some more white to add some ripples or waves against the little island that's there. This is also in the tutorial. So I'm just using the detail brush to do this. And here I'm adding more yellow and white to the bottom portion of the water in general. So you'll see it's going to start changing pretty quickly. And I'm using the paper towel to sop up where I think it's going too dark. Now I'm trying a different brush altogether and adding a lot more yellow. Alright guys, and here I have forgotten to turn on my recording software again, but I've blended in the yellow into orange and added a lot more fog. I'm just adding some fog to the secondary island, and I'm just trying to add it so it looks like it's coming from behind. I'm just trying to make it look like it is in the tutorial, adding a lot of fog, playing with the yellows and the whites, and then using my paper towel to try to blend it in a little bit more, because I don't have the blender brush that Joony has, so I'm just trying to do my best with the colors that I have and the brushes that I have. And here I'm going in with the detail brush and some dark, almost black paint, and I'm going over some of the trees again so that they're not all lost in behind the mist and fog. I want some of those on the island to be behind fog, but some to be in front of the fog. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun doing that. I really do enjoy landscape paintings. So I'm just making sure some of the trees are standing out more, just for some more contrast. Because the white and the fog and the mist, whatever you want to call it, it was just taking over the whole painting. So I wanted to get some sharpness back. Alright, so now that the trees are done, I am going to take a look at this, and I'm adding a little bit more white around the island to bring it out more. Some, like the V shape of the water that a boat leaves behind. And I'm just adding that water. And now I'm scared because I have to add the boat. There's a tiny little boat. I don't know if you could tell how small it is in this painting, but let me just bring you closer. So I'm drawing the boat here, and I'm really worried about drawing the boat because the tutorial has a rowboat with one man or woman, I guess, but it looks like a man rowing the boat. But I wanted this as a gift for my neighbor who lost her son recently, and I wanted it to represent her son and her husband together in heaven fishing together. So I am trying to make this a different looking boat and put two people in. So I'm kind of following the tutorial exactly the way they drew the boat, and I should have just from the beginning drawn my own boat because I end up having to go in and change it. So I'm very hesitant here. You can see, I don't know if you can tell how small that boat is. Can you see the size of my thumbnail? The boat is maybe the size of like my thumbnail, the length of it, but not the width of it. Super tiny. So I'm using my smallest detail brush, and I'm trying to add a motor at the end of the boat. And then I kind of realized the boat should have had a different shape for that kind of boat, so I do end up trying to fix it. But I'm trying to put two people in the boat. And here I'm going in with an orangey yellow, and I'm editing the boat and the people to try to make them the right size and shape, because I've realized, no, that's not the shape that I want. I've got to fix it up a little bit. So I'm just adding some of the background color, and I'll go over it again with the fog later. But I just go back with the orange and the yellow and then the black, trying to get the right shape. Because I really don't know yet what I'm doing. So here I'm just adding the fishing rods. It's really hard. They have to be straight and they have to be long, and I'm not sure how long they should be because these are such tiny little people. So I play around with this a lot, and I edit out where I think it's too thick eventually. And I have to go back in and fix the background where you can kind of see that orange halo around everything. So here I'm going in with my detail brush and the white, and I'm making the wake again because I've kind of lost it. The paint dries darker than it looks when it's wet, so sometimes it's hard to judge what color you're putting down if it's going to look that way once it's dry, because it doesn't always. So that's kind of tricky. And I'm just trying to go back in and fix the areas behind the fishermen. where I made it a little bit too orange when I was trying to edit everything. So I'm just trying to fix everything up at this point. Alright, so here I'm going in and I'm fixing up the background color where it looked like there was that orange halo, and I'm adding some more of the foggy mist. I'm just trying to fix the background, making the fishermen look like they're coming out of they're kind of, not coming out of, but maybe driving right into the mist and the fog. I don't want them to be quite so black. I want them a little bit more misty. So I'm just playing with that. And now I've decided I've covered them up too much, so I'm going back and outlining them again. And I'm just doing this till I think it looks right to my eye. And don't forget, these two people in this motorboat don't exist in the regular tutorial, so I'm kind of winging it here. If you look at the tutorial, their boat is a lot nicer. There's one person who's rowing. There's not two fishing rods. There's not the motor, and it's just a better shape. But I'm quite happy with this considering I'm just doing it out of my head. I should have found a reference photo to try to follow, but I didn't. At this point, I was just doing it out of my head. And here I'm trying to add some reflection in the water for the boat and some white water to suggest the wake of the boat because it is a motorboat. So this is the scary part. Now I'm trying to make tree reflections with the fan brush, just like they're doing in the tutorial. But I don't have the right kind of fan brush, I don't think. I have one that's too floppy and I think one that's too big. I need to get more fan brushes. But I'm just playing with the reflections here of the trees. So after roughing in where the reflections should go, I'm going in with more paint on my brush to make them darker. That's what happened in the tutorial, so I'm trying to follow it. This was really a scary part for me, but I am happy with how it turned out. Alright, also a scary part was going in with yellow to add sunlight to the water and over top of the trees. I had to let it dry a little bit so I didn't turn that portion of the trees green. So, but it really makes a difference, and I'm trying to add as much reflection as there was originally in the tutorial, and I was like, oh my god, that's too much. So I really need to learn all these techniques. I think I will practice with these brushes. Alright, so I have taken this into the bathroom and blow dried everything. So now I'm going over it with some white, almost white. It's like a very light yellow that looks white. And I'm adding some more sun areas, and I'm adding some more fog, because once it's dry, it dries darker than it does when the paint is wet. So it's really hard for me yet because I'm getting it the way I want it when the paint is wet, and then when it dries, that's not how it looks. So I'm learning that I need to go and blow dry things so I can get an idea of whether I need to go lighter or not. So that's just what I'm doing, is I'm adding more light to this picture. And here I'm adding more mist and fog, and I'm kind of adding it and then blotting it out just to get the look that I want. It's the hardest part of the picture so far. And here I'm adding a lot more yellow reflections to the water with my fan brush. Trying to get it as light as it should be, adding some colors over the reflections of the trees to kind of push those reflections back a little bit. Adding some yellows and whites. And just trying to blend it in with the fan brush a little bit more. And when it doesn't blend in, I use my paper towel to try to do it. So I'm just basically going back and forth. Here I'm adding a little bit more orange back and more yellow.
Hi guys, so it's me again. This is what I have so far, and I'm really scared. I have to put some geese here, and the geese have to be like a little bit bigger than the boat, or maybe around the same size as the boat, because they're closer up. And my hands are shaky, so I'm really afraid to do the geese. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try maybe to sketch the geese first in chalk. I'm just going to test the chalk, make sure it comes off. Yeah, it does. Okay. I've used the chalk pencil before. So I'm just looking on my computer at the geese that the artist painted. And the goose is about this big. Because it's bigger than the boat. But I made my boat bigger. Because I have 2 people in the boat. So I think my goose, it's going to have to be about this big.
All right, guys, so here I was sketching out my geese in chalk pencil, and I'm not really great at sketching, but I was doing my best, and I'm pretty happy with how they came out. And I kept using the boat as a reference because I knew my first goose had to be a little bit bigger than the boat just to look closer. So you can see it's really, really easy to rub out the chalk with just like a damp finger if you make a mistake. So that's really a nice feature of the chalk pencil. So I'm just kind of just roughly getting in where the geese need to go. I'm basically just trying to get where their beak is, where their wings should be, just the right size and position of them with the chalk outlines. And then I'll go over it with black later. And I keep watching the video. I think I must have watched that section of video 10 times, but the videos are really, really fast. The actual video I think is like 10 or 15 minutes long. So the goose portion of it was like just a few minutes. So I watched it so many times trying to get it right. And that artist, Joony, is so talented. She just kind of swipes with her brush twice and there's a goose. Like she makes a line and she knows how to make the brush so it's like lighter at some points and heavier at some points, and the goose like literally just falls off the brush. It's amazing what they can do. Obviously, I'm not there yet. I'm struggling with drawing the geese and where they have to go, and I've never done a painting with this much detail before, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I think the most important part is to just do it, because once you've done it, you've got a little bit more experience. But because this was supposed to be a gift for my neighbor, I was really stressing myself out about it, and I should have just decided that I was going to do this for myself, and then if I liked it enough, then I would give it to my neighbor instead of putting that extra pressure on myself. You can see how many times I'm erasing that goose. Now I'm sharpening my pencil thinking maybe that will help, and it helped immensely. So yeah, learn from me. Always have a sharp pencil when you're sketching. Mine was really dull and I was having a hard time getting those little shapes. Once it was sharp, it was so much easier. And it's also, I found for me, it's easier to draw a goose with the wings in an upright position than it is for me to draw a goose with the wings in a down position. I don't know why. And in my mind, these are Canadian geese. But because they're just going to be painted black in silhouette, they could actually be any kind of geese. But because I'm Canadian and this looks like a Canadian scene, these in my mind are Canadian geese. And one day I would like to paint a scene with Canadian geese that are not in silhouette so I could try to do their beautiful colors. But I'm definitely not there yet, you guys. And now there's one little goose peeking in at the side of the frame where it's just his head and part of a wing. So I thought, should I put it in or not? And I decided, yeah, I'll put it in. So you can see in the background, I have practiced painting geese on that white piece of watercolor paper behind me. So after practicing with the brushes, I thought I am ready to color these sketched in geese. And you can see I did not speed this part of the video up. This is how slowly it was going for me to paint these geese. I was terrified. They were really tiny and I had shaky hands, and I'm making a mistake right away, but I learned that if you do make a mistake with a dark color, as long as it's still wet, you can just get a wet brush, a clean brush, or a wet piece of paper towel, and just dab it over and take it right off. And once I learned that, I felt a lot better. So you see here, I'm taking off where there was some black where I didn't want it. So I'm just using a wet brush, and I'm brushing over it, and it's coming right off. And once I learned I could erase mistakes that way, I felt a lot better. So here I am painting the first goose very, very slowly. So I'm sorry if this is boring for you guys, but I thought if you've stuck with me this far, and if you have, please put hashtag goose or hashtag slow goose if you're still with me, you guys. But I thought you might be interested to see how very slowly I was painting. So this video is probably going to be under 40 minutes. The actual painting took me several days to complete. So I cut a lot out and I fast forwarded as much as I could. But I thought I do want to leave some spots in where I can show you how slowly I'm going. That's pretty funny. And imagine, this is just me painting in something I already sketched. But I'm not used to this kind of a detail. Alright, so after showing you how painfully slowly I was painting part of that first goose, I decided to speed it up. This is me in editing again because it was even painful for me to watch how slowly I was doing this goose. Now this is sped up 5 times, and it looks like just normal time because that's how slowly I was going painting these geese. Like, if I didn't tell you this was sped up 5 times, you almost wouldn't know because this almost looks like regular time painting, and it's not. So yeah, I would have been going backwards if I would have been painting these geese any more slowly, you guys. It was so funny, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. So I think I will keep with using the chalk to do outlines from now on. It really made me feel a lot better, and also knowing I could erase mistakes, it really helped me a lot too. And I'm really proud of how these geese came out in the end. So what I think I'll do is I will put in a cut here and we'll jump to the end of the geese because even going 5 times fast, this is super slow motion. Alright, instead of putting a cut and going to the end, I sped this up 10 times faster than reality. So this is me painting 10 times faster than I really was. And it's not until you see my hands waving around because I talk with my hands that you can see how fast I'm going because I'm still looking like I'm painting these geese very slowly. And I'm sorry for laughing so hard. I think that's hysterical. Yeah, I'm definitely going to practice geese, you guys, and geese and seagulls and birds in general, because they add so much to any kind of landscape painting, and I love landscape painting, so I'm going to have to spend like a week practicing birds one day, 1 week. But here we're coming to the second last goose. And you can still see the chalk outlines because I was painting smaller than the outlines. Because the outlines were for me to show where not to go outside of those lines. And it's really easy to erase these lines once all of the paint is dry. You just go with a damp brush and you brush over it and the white lines just completely disappear. Alright, so here I am painting the shadows in the water that go under the bird. Not the shadows, but the reflections. And an almost black color. It's more like a reddy, muddy color. And I go progressively lighter as we get to the first goose. So over in the right hand corner, I'm using a darker color. And as we get to the left hand goose, I'm making the shadows in a lighter color, like a more reddish color, a reddish brown. So yeah, this is almost done, you guys. Just adding the shadows, and then I have to go add some more reflections on the water. I had so much fun painting this, although it was very stressful. It made me challenge myself. It pushed my envelope because I'm getting better now at just landscapes with just water, sky, and trees. But to have to add the boat and the geese and the fog, like the mist, those are all things I've never done before. So that was new for me, you know? So it's always good to try something new and push the envelope a little bit. I mean, I'm so new, I'm always learning no matter what I'm doing. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more reflection with my fan brush. I think it needed a little bit more yellow and white just to brighten it up a bit. And it looks really pretty, and I'm trying to keep in mind that it does dry darker. And I just erased all the chalk marks, and I'm taking a look at the screen and at my finished product. And I'm pretty happy with it, you guys. I think it looks good. So let's go in for a deeper look. I can show you what it looks like straight on. There's my two men in the boat. That's supposed to be Larry and Louie. And my geese and their reflections. And I'm done except for my initials. So I hope you liked this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think of this kind of a video. I'm going to try to get better at doing this kind of a video. And thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe. Happy crafting. Bye, guys.